What if the biggest decisions you make every day aren't actually yours? What if, before you even unlock your phone, your brain has already decided what you'll crave, what you'll avoid, and how much control you'll have over your own attention? If you've ever promised yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," only to end up scrolling for another hour, this isn't happening because you're lazy, and it isn't because your willpower is weak. Your brain has been quietly trained to choose what feels easy over what truly matters, not by accident, but by a world that's constantly competing for your attention. The frightening part is that most people never realize it's happening. They spend years believing they've lost their discipline, when in reality, they've lost control of the system that creates it. The good news is that your brain isn't permanently broken. Anything that can be trained can also be retrained. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how your mind was hijacked. More importantly, you'll learn how to take it back, so discipline stops feeling like a fight and starts becoming something your brain actually wants. Your brain wasn't hijacked in a single day. It happened one small decision at a time. Every time you felt bored, you reached for your phone. Every time something felt difficult, you looked for something easier. Every time you had a quiet moment, you filled it with another video, another notification, another scroll. Your brain noticed the pattern. It quietly learned. Easy feels safe. Instant feels rewarding. And once that lesson was repeated enough times, it stopped asking you to make the choice. It started making the choice for you. That's why opening your phone can happen before you even realize you've picked it up. Not because you decided to, but because your brain already predicted that instant comfort was the better option. The frightening part is that your brain isn't chasing pleasure. It's chasing what it has learned to expect. And once your expectations change, your entire life begins to follow them. But that's where the real misunderstanding begins. Because most people think dopamine is the feeling of enjoyment. It isn't. Here's the part almost everyone gets wrong. People think dopamine is the chemical that makes you enjoy life. It isn't. Your brain releases dopamine long before you get the reward, not to celebrate what you've already received, but to push you toward what it believes is coming next. Think of it like a GPS. It doesn't care whether the destination is actually good for you. Its only job is to keep pointing you toward the place you've told it matters most. And every time you repeat the same behavior, your brain quietly updates the map. That's why you can reach for your phone before you've even decided to. Your brain already expects that something interesting might be waiting, not because it knows it's true, but because you've taught it to predict it. The dangerous part is that your brain doesn't only learn where to send your attention. It also learns what kind of person you are. And if it keeps predicting distraction, distraction slowly becomes your normal. But the moment you teach your brain to expect something different, the map begins to change. But here's what makes this even more dangerous. You haven't just been training your own brain. Someone else has been training it for you. Every app you open, every endless feed, every autoplay video, every notification was designed by people who understand one simple truth. The longer they keep your attention, the more valuable you become. They're not competing for your time. They're competing to teach your brain what deserves your attention. And every time you instantly respond, your brain quietly learns. This matters. Little by little, your own goals become harder to hear than the next notification. The book becomes harder to open. The conversation becomes easier to ignore. Silence starts feeling uncomfortable, not because your brain is weak, but because it has been practicing a completely different skill. The frightening part is this. The longer your brain follows someone else's priorities, the easier it becomes to forget your own. But the good news is that the same brain that learned this pattern can learn a better one. And it starts with one decision most people are no longer willing to make: to be bored. Most people think taking back control means fighting their brain. It doesn't. It means teaching it a different pattern. The next time you feel the urge to check your phone, don't reach for it immediately. Wait, even if it's only for 30 seconds. Not because 30 seconds will change your life, but because every pause teaches your brain something it has slowly forgotten. That you, not your impulses, make the final decision. Then let yourself be bored. Take a walk without filling every silence. Sit for a few minutes without searching for something to consume. Because a brain that is never left alone eventually forgets how to think for itself. Little by little, your brain begins updating the map again. It starts expecting presence instead of distraction, depth instead of speed, purpose instead of impulse. One day, you'll notice something strange. The urge to check your phone won't disappear overnight, but it won't control you the way it once did. Because your brain was never broken. It was simply following the directions it had been given. The moment you change those directions, your mind slowly becomes yours again. And one day, you'll stop forcing yourself toward the life you want. Because your brain will finally want it too.